How's it going? I wrote this book so people who were really depressed and people who came or come from a really bad home of abuse, neglect, trauma, poverty. I wrote this book for those people so they wouldn't feel so all alone. And when they read this book, they could feel like somebody understood them and somebody was there with them in the process of dealing with always feeling down and upset and depressed or angry. So, as I sit here this morning, staring at this tile, the only thing I want to accomplish is dying, so I don't have to be alive anymore. That would be nice. When you want to die so badly that you wish that you never came out of your mother's womb, you slowly look around you, and the concept of being alive makes you want to cry. The fact that you have to be here makes you want to cry. Everything seems so meaningless. So I keep staring at a tile and wishing I would die or evaporate into the air, to not be here anymore. When you're depressed, people sometimes tell you to go outside or exercise or do some things. That even the thought of doing these highly motivating, outgoing things confuses you because you don't even know how you would begin doing such outgoing things. You can't even move most days. You can't even stand up most days. And most days you sleep constantly, always sleeping, scared of the sun, scared of people, scared of being outside, and scared of people looking at you. As I was in the bathroom this morning, staring at the tile on the floor, I was thinking about a female soccer player who was smiling after she scored a goal in a soccer tournament. I thought about how happy she was and how I felt nothing like her. As I stared at that tile in the bathroom, I thought about how smiling and happiness were things that were not meant for me. I thought to myself, maybe if I played soccer, I would be happy. But I feel no need to do anything, no desire to move or be anything. Sitting here, staring at this tile is nice, but doing things or smiling are things I don't think I was created to do in this life. Doing things is not important to me in this life. Not being alive and the thought of not existing anymore is the only thing that is important to me. Dying is important. Everything else seems so pointless. Everything else seems like such a waste of time. I find it so interesting how people have enough energy to rush around and achieve all of these things, making tons of money, while I do not even desire to move from this bathroom, as this tile becomes my entire world. All I need is this tile, and all this tile needs is me. There is no need to be anywhere, and I have no desire to even move. It is as if I am paralyzed, and I am unable to move. I find such comfort in looking at this tile, and I realize that looking at this tile right now is all that I need in my life. There is no reason to move. Why would I move? So I could accomplish things? I don't even enjoy this life. I don't even like being alive. Why would I prolong this life sentence by accomplishing things so I can continue living? What's the point? What I really want to do is waste away and die. There is the real joy. Dying is the joy. And dying is the addictive thought that I find comfort in. But staying alive for people can even be more upsetting because we begin to feel guilty about wanting to die. So when we are suicidal or we look really depressed, we may start being really hard on ourselves because we don't want people to worry about us. And we don't really want them thinking about the suicidal us. We may begin to feel guilty and awful about feeling depressed because we don't want to ruin the happiness of the people around us. We don't want to make anyone upset. So we might start living for other people and worrying that we are bringing other people down with us. When we start living for other people, this can become a complex. This can become so complex and make us feel so guilty or awful that we become even more suicidally depressed. We might even stop talking to people about how we're feeling or the pain that we're going through because we don't want people to be upset or worry about us. So we may begin to bottle things up, and we might want to be left alone more often because when we're around people, it is too difficult for us to act like we're happy or pretend that everything is okay. So we just keep to ourselves, and our life gets more and more isolated. The more we isolate ourselves and distance ourselves from people, the deeper we may go into the darkness of the depression. Because thinking alone in the darkness may always create more darkness. Chapter 7, The Chicken Bucket. That was chapter 6, by the way. If you feel like this is about you and you want to buy it, it's $3 on Amazon. I'll put how to buy it in the comment section below. It's $3. I want to make sure I made it the same price as a Mountain Dew or a coffee because I want people to read it, because it's important to read this book, especially for parents and family members of people who are struggling, and especially for teenagers that live in a home with mentally abusive and really messed up parents. I really wrote this for teenagers because teenagers need it the most. We're the ones that were raised or being raised by parents that are terrorists and brutal. Chapter 7, The Chicken Bucket. Yes, so sometimes I am a nice person, and at other times I am a person who has a raging desire to kill people. This is always a struggle. But by disciplining the bad guy to work for the forces of good, I tend to be much more loving than evil. However, sometimes I am not here at all, and my person has completely dissolved. I am no longer here, and I am not a person, but I am just staring and gone. In this state, where I no longer feel like a person and physical time doesn't exist, is where the true art comes from. Regardless of what personality I am in while writing, all of the stories from this book are true. I hope this book will bring some attention to the darkness within and the darkness within the mind of a mentally ill person. And it also shines some more much needed awareness on what a suicidal person thinks about or goes through in the darkest of times. The interesting thing about people who are not deeply suicidal is that they are concerned with time and the idea of time. As a deeply suicidal person most of my life, one of the main reasons why I am not concerned with showering my appearance if I have enough money after I retire is because I don't want to live to be old enough to retire. If given a choice, I would die today. Some psychiatrists once said the reason why people started working and caring about the future is because we discovered time. Well, people who are suicidal don't care about time because we just want to die. Sometimes our family or friends may say to us, you should start taking care of yourself. You should do something. You should get a job. You should volunteer. And suicidal people will think to themselves, I just want to die, people. Why would I ever want to start doing things that would prolong this life? So the people may say, why don't you get your job back at the chicken bucket? I think you just need to go get out of the house and be around other people. And then the deeply suicidal person thinks, I could care less about washing my hair or putting on a name tag that says, hi, I'm Tom, and say, welcome to the chicken bucket 67 times a day to customers who we believe look at us suspiciously. But maybe these people are right, and working at the chicken bucket would make me less suicidal. However, the last time I worked at the chicken bucket, I wanted to die. And the time before that, when I worked at the chicken bucket, I wanted to die. And the time before that, when I worked at the chicken bucket, I wanted to die. And all throughout my epic run at the chicken bucket, I was so deeply paranoid and scared of people every day when I went to work that I wanted to die. And then the people will say, Tom, but this time it could be different at the chicken bucket. I think the people around us, such as friends and family, do not understand how deeply paranoid we are of people when we leave the house. But I do like that kind of optimism. It keeps me alive. And I think a lot of people may see our paranoia or inability to take showers or clean as a form of us being lazy. Lazy. I love that word. How many times has my sister called me lazy throughout my life? 1,875 times? I keep track. I always look dirty. My clothes always look dirty. My room is always dirty. And currently, I am definitely losing the battle of shaving and grooming myself. I am 100% failing at life right now. The other day, my mom looked at me and said, Joe, you look terrible. When's the last time you shaved or washed your clothes? And I said back to her, I'm so suicidal these days, I can barely function. Grooming myself or washing my clothes are things that do not even compute in my mind as things to do. So getting back to getting a job at the chicken bucket. Well, I do like fried chicken. That's why I moved to Thailand for a year. By the way, fried chicken is epically huge in Thailand. So if you love fried chicken, you should probably move to Thailand. So this issue with functioning in society or wanting to die is why a lot of suicidal people can't find the energy to do things or have the spark of energy to get out the door and be outstanding members of society. Let's put it this way. If the Grim Reaper, but for the story, let's call him Death, walked into my bedroom right now and said, Joe, it is time. You are coming with me. You are leaving this earth. You will never return to Earth. and you will never see another day ever. I would say to death, thank goodness, let's go. I've been waiting for you since 1987. But I just needed a valid excuse to die. Suicide would destroy my family. But you, big guy, just gave me the perfect out, and I love you for that. Let's leave this existence, my dear awaited friend. Thank you for finally taking me from this depressive life that I wish I was never born into, with this weird, unstable, suicidal, mentally ill mind. You are the Tao of my chi brother. And then I would give death a high five and an enormous hug. We would leave together smiling and go to a local pub to have beers together and talk about life and the experiences we had. God, that would be cool. Now I know statistics say that you should probably never hug death or drink a beer with death. But what do I have to lose, right? Chapter number 8, nervous. I feel really sad, nervous, and I'm crying again, and I don't know why I'm crying, or I don't even know what I'm crying about. I feel rushed again, but it's Sunday morning at 9:42 a.m., and I don't even have to leave my house at a certain time. I feel confused, and I feel like I'm being controlled by time. I don't know what's wrong with me. This always happens to me, and I keep feeling like this. I don't know how to make this feeling stop or just go away. I want it to stop, but it just won't stop. I can't function. Most nights I wake up around 2:55 a.m. because of the strange dreams I keep having, and I can't get back to sleep because the strange dreams are really scary. The strange, scary dreams make me feel terrible and make me think horrible thoughts when I wake up in the middle of the night. My thoughts are so disturbing that I can't fall back asleep. These horrible thoughts and feelings I experience because of these strange dreams stay with me in the morning, and I can't stop feeling bad about myself and my life. I wish these strange dreams would go away because I am unstable and unable to function in life because I am so sleep deprived all the time. I try to get a good night's sleep, but the dreams come to me in the night, and another day is lost because of sleep deprivation and exhaustion. I cannot function, and I can't live a proper life because I feel like my mind won't let me. I try so hard, but my mind won't let me go. The mind won't let me move, and the mind won't let me leave. I'm in a prison that I don't know how to escape, and the life I would love to live is always out of reach. I live a non-functioning, exhausted half-life, not fully alive, dead at times as the days pass and time escapes. Why was I born into this mind? Why did my father choose to have me when he must have known deep down that he was incapable of being a father or not abandoning when I was 3 years old? An abandonment by a weak man that caused the events of my life of severe poverty, shame, trauma, neglect, abuse, being suicidal, and being homicidal. The destruction of a family by the actions of one cowardly man that led to a non-functioning life. I feel so bad for my mother and sister regardless of the hard times we all went through. Destruction and chaos in a child's life leads to confusion. I don't know if I'll ever be able to function for longer than 2 or 3 days until I have another emotional breakdown or feel suicidal. My life is always so uncertain, and I never feel like I have control over my own life. I always have problems with sleeping, with feeling nervous, or feeling worried about time, even when I do not need to go anywhere. I'm just always so worried, like nothing is ever okay. I keep having flashbacks, and the things I see in my flashbacks make me sad and make me feel terrible about myself. I don't know when my hands will stop shaking. I don't know if I'll ever feel okay. Chapter 9: Being Suicidal, the Story of Something Ancient in Ancient Hands. The first time I went to the hospital for attempting suicide, I was 9 years old. My sister walked in on me, and I had bleach in my mouth, so I had to go to the hospital to have my mouth checked out for any degrees of burns. And when I sat down with the psychiatrist, I told him that I was thinking about either sticking a nail in an outlet socket or just drinking bleach. I wanted the most pain-free way of killing myself, and at the age of 9, I figured bleach or death by electricity was the easiest way out and the least painful. I did not know that taking a lot of pills back then could kill a person, but if I did have that knowledge, I most likely would have killed myself at age 9. My idea of dying was much more joyful and dreamlike when I was a kid. Killing myself wasn't heavy. Killing myself was an escape and somewhat interesting. Killing myself was not something I feared. But when I thought about killing myself back when I was 9 years old, it was almost meditative and something that was pleasant to think about. I thought about how death had to be much more joyful than what I was feeling every day as I continued to live. When I was a kid, I did not really feel like I had a connection with anybody. And the feeling of love was strange. I can't even remember if I ever felt love when I was a kid. I'm sure people did love me when I was a kid, but I was so far gone, and I was in such a state of either pain or psychological detachment that I was sometimes not living in reality. When I was a kid, I think I was living in a meditative state where I could not feel certain emotions because my life was so traumatic and upsetting. This concept of me killing myself and wanting to die just kept getting worse and more extreme throughout my life until I reached the breaking point in August 2017 when I was finally ready to die. I had already lived for 39 years, struggling with severe depression most of my life, so I didn't understand why I would choose to continue to suffer through more depression by deciding to live. What is the point of living if you feel extremely depressed more days and feel like your life is terrible most of the time? Unfortunately, many of us who are diagnosed with a mental illness do not feel connected to most people, which leads us to commit suicide and commit homicide. Another major issue with being suicidal or homicidal is that we do not feel loved, or even if we are receiving love, we cannot feel love because we feel so numb. This has a lot to do with being mentally ill, but it also has to do with not feeling connected to anyone. The issue about not feeling connected to people is something I talk about in this ebook, because not feeling connected to anyone or feeling like people are different than you is a huge issue for people who are depressed, people who have been diagnosed with a mental illness, people who are suicidal, and people who are homicidal. This feeling like you are different from other people leads you to feel like you are all alone and that no one accepts you. No one accepts who you are or understands what you're feeling. I was talking with a girl who was suicidal named Courtney, who said to me, "Why can't my parents accept me for who I am? Nothing I do is ever good enough for them. They don't understand me, and I feel like they have no idea what I'm going through. I feel like they don't love me, and the only time I feel like they do love me is when I accomplish something or do something right. But if I'm just existing and not achieving anything, I really feel like they don't love me at all." The issue that Courtney was dealing with is something that a lot of us are dealing with, and it is the feeling that we are not being loved unconditionally. Unconditional love means that you do not have to do anything or achieve anything to be loved by a person. A person who loves you unconditionally loves you just for being born. Conditional love means that you have to achieve something, do something, or be something to gain someone's love. When you were raised by parents who do not love you unconditionally, it is difficult for you to feel like you deserve to be loved or that no one could ever love you. When you feel like your parents don't love you, it is difficult to feel like you will ever be good enough. You ask yourself, why can't they just love me? What's wrong with me? What do I have to do for them to love me? Sometimes you begin to believe that you don't even deserve to be happy. You feel like you're never good enough and that you do not deserve certain things. You think that you are not good enough to deserve to be loved. So why should you deserve to be happy or deserve anything at all? A perfect example of feeling this way is an experience I once had when I was in a mental institution waiting in line to get my medicine at the medicine station. The nurse gave me my medicine in a little cup and water in a little cup as always. I swallowed the medicine and the nurse said, "Let me see your tongue and underneath your tongue." So I showed the nurse the inside of my mouth and lifted my tongue for her. I was extremely suicidal that day, and I had no idea why I was even living anymore. I had no idea why I continued to walk or why I was even continuing to do anything. I felt like a slow moving robot that was not even human, a robot that was just existing for no reason. I was existing just to look around and take steps, but I felt as if I wasn't really living, or I wasn't even really alive. I walked down the hall of the mental institution and went back into my room to go to sleep. Before I laid down in bed, I stood by my window and looked outside at the silhouette of a tree and the moon in the night sky as I thought about ways to die. I'll always remember that tree and that moon. They were so beautiful. But the thoughts of me killing myself and me dying were more beautiful. Standing there by the window, looking at the branches of that tree, I wish I could have just died so badly. To just disappear and become blackness, the darkness and the nothingness that most of us want to go to when we want to die and not exist anymore. The smile that comes to your face when you think of not being alive anymore. is such an amazing thing. Nothing on this earth may make you happy or smile for days, but the thought of you killing yourself makes you so happy that it brings a weird, sad, euphoric smile to your face. What a beautiful, sad, demented smile. You know that the smile is demented, but still, you smile. However, as I stood there by the window, the thought of me still existing made me so unhappy that I didn't understand why I was even born. I thought to myself, I wish I never existed and my mother never gave birth to me. I wish I was never born. And I remained in the darkness, or wherever life or people come from, to remain there in the darkness, never to experience this life. As I continued to look at the silhouette of the black tree in front of the glowing moon, I said to myself, just be happy. And then I said back to myself, you don't deserve to be happy. Chapter 10, The 3-Year-Old. But I'll leave that for another time. If this is how you feel, you should spend $3 on this book. I was incredibly happy about 5 hours ago, and now I'm extremely depressed. Where did it come from? I don't know. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Anyways, I hope you're having a great day. Also list 15 people that could help the healing process underneath in the comments right before how to buy the book. And I'll leave my Instagram page if you want to see some cool art. If you made it this far into the video. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Take care.